Inspiration. We've all had bouts of inspiration in our lives, haven't we? What does it mean to be inspired? Is it something that hits you like a lightning bolt, or is it something that comes on slowly and then presents itself? Let's explore inspiration with our next guest in our Cultivating Creativity series, my dear friend and soul sister, Laura Elizabeth Gray. Welcome, beautiful Laura.
Oh, hi, Randy. Hello, Randy Marie. Thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. The LBR community is going to fall in love with you, as I have many years ago when you were a political science student of mine back at Bowling Green in the mid-'80s, American government.
Mid to late.
Right. Yeah, don't do the math. Welcome, Laura.
Oh, thank you.
Laura is a mother, a lover of nature, a dog lover, a passionate advocate at the ALS Association, where she serves as Director of Development. She's also a kidney donor, the founder of IPride, a children's self-empowerment program, and is now a published author of this amazing, fascinating children's book. And she's a beautiful human being and soul that has so richly blessed my life. And I know you have touched so many others, and you're just getting warmed up, Laura.
I'm telling you, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the flow, and I'm feeling the divine grace that has been bestowed upon me in many, many ways. And I am a sister of gratitude.
Wonderful. We've got that in common. Laura, at the end of 2022, was so inspired one morning, and I was the lucky recipient of audio versions of this gem that Laura just published, a beautiful, magical children's book.
Yep. The Swing on the Silver Star in the Royal Purple Sky. Adventures of the Little Girl Seeking Her Lost Inner Light.
Laura, this is a somewhat autobiographical children's book. Could you tell us about your story, please?
Sure. Years ago, as a child, I experienced severe trauma, and for a number of years. And during that time, the brain development, my imagination was disrupted out of fear and flight mode. So, fast forward many years later, and here we are. And shortly after Christmas, as you alluded, December 29th, 2022, up to that point, I had been, I have a coloring book next to my bed and a box of 64 crayons that a dear friend had given me, knowing that I was really seeking to connect with my inner child and to perhaps close any gaps that had been broken or bent, during those years of trauma. So I'd been coloring here or there each night. This particular evening, December 29th, 2022, I distinctly remember laying there in bed and just praying to God. I was praying to God to please God, please reconnect me to my imagination, to my sense of wonder, to my inner child. And I kept repeating that over and over, and I just fell asleep with that in my mind. And so the next morning, literally at like 5 a.m., I was almost startled awake. And I have this small journal next to my bed that my godchild had just given me for Christmas. And it actually on the front of the journal says, "This place where you are right now, God circled on a map for you." So this journal, I hadn't written in it yet, was next to my bed. And I woke at 5 a.m. the very next morning, grabbed the journal and my pen that was there, and I immediately started writing. And I know it's hard to tell, but I immediately started writing. I wrote imagine, dream, create, imagination, pretend, play, no limits, and a few other words. then the next thing I wrote was in quotes, "The swing on the silver star in the royal purple sky, adventures of the little girl seeking her lost inner light." Yeah. I mean, but it didn't stop. I mean, it's just pages and pages. And I was writing as if I knew. I knew, and it wasn't even me. It was literally the divine flow, the divine spirit. And I was just in gratitude. And in a way, if you've ever, help somebody with a paper at some point in college, or you're kind of working on something, but you're the scribe and they're just like going, and you're like, hang on a minute. Well, I was kind of feeling like that. I'm like, okay, God, okay, I'm writing with a pen. You know what I mean? Like, can you slow down? I'm in your flow. But at the same time, my pen was like, so it flowed, and then it was over. And then I just kind of laid in bed. I felt extreme gratitude. I felt my heart was on fire with joy, with light, with love, with childlike wonder. And I was like, oh my gosh. And, right away, I, after that, my phone, of course, was next to my bed too. And I got my phone and I recorded and read to you what I had written. And it just, and I sent it to you because I was like, oh my gosh, this book, this story, this beautiful, magical story of this little girl. And I shouldn't say I intentionally, God is the co-author for sure. So, the little girl doesn't necessarily have a name because we can all relate to this story, I think, in some respect.
And here is the little girl.
I know. Well, it's funny too. And the illustrator is amazing. She's out of Canada. Her name is Bonnie Lemaire. She is amazing. And a funny story. Well, I know my hair is a little straight today, but funny story. She sent it back, like the initial drawing of the little girl, and she looked too put together. And I was like, oh no, let's make her a little more messy. Keep it real. So, and then Bonnie just went on to have some fun with that.
Oh, your illustrator, Bonnie, is so immensely
good. What was beautiful about Bonnie is that I shared a little insight, about what I shared here about, the trauma as a child. And then I prayed to God, and then I woke up, and here comes the story. And Bonnie got that. She got that. And I said that it had to be her to bring the little girl to life. It had to be her to bring that little girl to life. So, and we were divinely connected as well. So, I love when that happens. You're like, oh yeah, I'm in it.
Right. From the download, fair to say, you had a download December 29th to publication in May of 2023.
Yes, I know. It's been, I am like a flow. I don't even know how else you know what it is? It's like a glow flow. It's a glow flow because I feel light. I feel joy. I feel aligned. But more than anything, I guess I feel so much gratitude to be a child of God, that God, since it was Christmas time and I laid in bed and almost in the prayers of a child, I asked for my imagination back. It was like, oh, dear Jesus, if I could only have my imagination for Christmas. And the next morning I got it, and it's been with me, and just so grateful to be able to share this with the LBR community.
Beautiful. Oh, Laura. And what could you share about that kind of inspiration? I love that. The little girl that goes to bed at night, Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Asking for that special gift. And this is the gift of your imagination, the return of your imagination. And so How did that make you feel? And how has it made a difference in your life from that moment to publication and now your book tour?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny when you were talking about the prayers, it's almost like, this is kind of bad, but we've all kind of been there, I think, where in Christmas morning, you're like, I really didn't get that toy I wanted. So here I am 4 days after Christmas going, okay, I still want my imagination. And sure enough, at 5 a.m. the next morning, and to your point, less than 5 months later, this amazing story, this beautiful piece of literature, children's literature, although I like to view this as all ages. And there it is. It's in your hands, and it's in the hands of many other people already. How do I feel? I just feel like, gratitude, and thank you for choosing me. Thank you for reconnecting me. And I know the little girl's not done. This little girl's not done. This little girl is, I got a few more books to tell and stories to share. And I just can't wait for, the next one. And I think God's going, okay, let's not get too greedy. Slow down, let's let this one play out and I'll flow that other one through you. He's like, it's not time. And so I have learned that. I've learned more to be in the now as opposed to what's next, and I think we can all get like that.
Yes, we can. And I can't wait to read, though, not to encourage you in that, but the continuing adventures of this little girl.
Yeah.
Because I won't give away the ending, but it's happy and positive. And like you said, it is not just a children's book. It is for all ages. And my 92-year-old mother read the book, and she said it was an absolute page turner.
Oh.
And appropriate for her. And my husband, who is a creative like you, and even though we're all creatives to varying degrees, but one of those creatives, that he read this and was so struck by it, and the caliber within which it's written, and of course the magical illustrations are simply
yes. And you know what? I got to add something that throughout my writing, throughout my life, whether it be poetry or even sometimes for my work, my professional work, I've always been somebody that will use words that have the same beginning sounds, and which is alliteration, which I use, I would say, well, again, not I use, which is used in this book quite extensively. And I feel like that was always my childlike presence throughout my life, just knocking and waiting for me to be ready to receive. Because like I said, I've always kind of used alliteration. And so to have it play out as you have witnessed and read, so whimsical like in this book, it just is. I love it. I'm like so proud. I'm like beaming like the star on the cover. I'm beaming. I just feel, and actually there's no coincidence during the Christmas season that the title, which flowed out of me, that as you can see that the star is very, very similar to the Star of Bethlehem.
Beautiful. An example of a few alliterations in this magical book. The little girl counted 5 points on the starfish, then climbed and crawled around the coral. After a hearty supper of seaweed, she slid up on the olive green shell of the sea turtle as they slowly headed for home. Blowing bubbles along the way, the little girl and her taxi turtle grew closer to shore.
That's
really fun.
Yep. That was just one of her adventures. I mean, yeah, it's a fun, but there's like, I think your husband and your mother also kind of picked up on it. There's a little more going on in here too, for like readers of all ages.
There is. There's a deep, profound meaning in it. Yeah. And in it is encouragement and joy. Beautiful.
Yes. And if I may add, there's a section or a part of her journey where she calls out to the dandelions in the field. And she says, "You are always welcome in my garden." And you know what? So many people view them as weeds and a nuisance. And so this kind of is a subtle nod to inclusivity, and belonging.
And there's a medical component to dandelions, and dandelions are very healing. You can research that.
Beautiful.
Dandelions and cancer and dandelion tea. My husband and I drink the dandelion coffee. I'm infusing oils with dandelion. So I'll have those links below as well. And in this garden, the dandelions are all declared safe. Love it, Laura. Love it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you decided to launch the book in May because May is ALS Awareness Month, and it fits beautifully into your profession, that which you do to, quote, earn a living here. Tell us about that, Laura. What do you do for the ALS Society nationally?
I am the Director of Development for the ALS Association serving Northern Ohio. We cover 33 counties. And my main role is to bring in funds to better care for and serve the people living with ALS. So as you said, I chose to have the book launch early May because it was ALS Awareness Month, and a portion of the net proceeds of the May sales go towards ALS Association.
So a portion of the proceeds from the sale of the book will go to the ALS Association for the entire month of May, yes?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that.
I'm just, I really love what I do. I have such a passion and compassion working for the ALS Association. It's a tremendous organization doing amazing work. And I feel very fortunate to be able to give back in this way that I can. So it just kind of worked out very, very well to launch the book in May for ALS Awareness Month.
And they are very fortunate to have you because I know how much you care and the hands-on approach that you take to this beautiful job that you do for them, for this profession that you give yourself to. IPride. You founded IPride at least 10 years ago, and it's for empowering the youth with self-esteem. This book, I see, could fit beautifully in that. How do you see those two marrying?
Yeah, thanks, Randy. So IPride actually, ironically or not, came to me in a similar sense. In 2011, I was picking up one of my sons from basketball, waiting in the parking lot, as mothers can often do. And the words IPride came into my head. And I was like, I'm not sure what that's about, but I can't handle that right now. So fast forward 2015, I was like, oh, okay. So it's more of the creative process a little bit. Mine was a little more delayed than this fast-paced one we're on now. But in 2015, yes, I founded IPride officially, and it's a youth self-esteem program dealing with empowerment, teaching them empowerment skills. There's 2 workshops. It's IPride Right, which is a WRITE, and IPride Fit. We do mindfulness, we do stretching, we do affirmations, we do energy work, we do creative writing, creative presentations. I mean, it's just all very basic, non-judgmental, very free-flowing, but I will say very structured, because I do think there is a place for structure and boundaries and limitations as far as, youth and children are concerned. Once they realize what the boundaries are or the expectations, they actually are okay with that. And they kind of flourish in that environment. So to answer your question, they will marry very well, because as a part of the book signings or, the book readings for this particular book, I'll also be conducting mini IPride workshops with the kids. So I think it will go together quite nicely.
And where can the viewers buy your book?
Well, currently it is on sale on Amazon.com.
Okay. And do you have a pen name? What do we find you listed as, or whom do we find you listed as?
Sure. So interesting. I've had a couple of other books that I've been a part of, and I was going under the name lgray, and I'm not sure why. I was almost like I was hiding in that. And then when this one flowed out of me, God was like, "You are Laura Elizabeth Gray. You are a child of the light. You are a child of God." And that is what I am the author of in this book, Laura Elizabeth Gray.
Beautiful. And it's Gray.
Correct.
Wonderful, Laura.
Now that, when God touched my heart and said, "Be joy and bring joy to the world." And that's where this little girl, that's what the purpose behind the story of this little girl and her next adventure.
Yes. Well, I know that I'm going to be waiting with bated breath for her next adventure, but no rush, because we want you to live in this moment, and we want to come alongside of you in this moment, right? And celebrate this moment for as long as this little girl wants to celebrate, right?
Yes. This little girl, and this little girl are just really, really present, and thankful for the present that she received on the evening of December 29th, 2022.
And I am thankful for the present of you and the gift of you, Laura Elizabeth, for all these decades that we've known each other in all of our iterations of walking through and plowing through this beautiful adventure called life. Mm-hmm. And we have gotten to do it side by side. Mm-hmm. And I'm so honored that you have chosen Life by Randy to begin to showcase your book. And we will be there every step of the way as you continue to enjoy more and more successes, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, the LBR community, your husband, who has always been incredibly supportive. I enjoyed your interview with him, and your wonderful, dear mother, the fact that she took the time to read the book and she felt it. That meant a lot to me. Thank you.
Well, you mean a lot to us.
Thanks.
Thank you, Laura. We've been through a lot of journeys together and really have enjoyed growing in this adventure called life.